Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. And I forgot to turn on the lights. Let's fix that. Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay, guys. Well, it's Tuesday. I had some interesting events overnight. China reducing interest rates, bailing out their financial system, like buying stocks. So I think that we could have a very interesting session today. By the way, I kind of need to start the music, don't I? There we go. So let's come over and look at the charts and see how this affected
Derivatives
us.
trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
But the 10-year Treasury
Past performance
is down.
is not necessarily indicative of future results.
I'm a little bit concerned because when
So
you
stressful.
see, that kind of easing action from a country like China, that would typically cause
look at this, guys.
the debt markets.
Like, my strategy is
oh wait, hold on.
you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Weird. Hold on a second. Let me see what that's about, huh? Why do I have... Well, that's interesting. OBS does not have the fade, the regular fade transition over here anymore for some reason. Huh. Okay, whatever. Okay, so let me start over, shall I? The treasuries are down, and I'm a little bit concerned by that because normally when we are seeing a country easing, like reducing interest rates like China is, you would see the debt markets up. But perhaps they are selling the treasuries because they expect that China will fund that perhaps by selling other debt. Because they're going to have to do things like sell dollars and buy yuan to shore up their currency because their currency is probably going to be under big pressure, right? So little bit concerned, but we are like testing new lows of the week already. S&P 500 though up overnight on this easing from China. Oil up pretty good overnight. Interesting. There was a bit of a fall yesterday midday in oil, but man, they've really come back with a vengeance, and I'm not entirely sure what is driving that. And the things I read, there was a lot of I'm not quite sure why oil, because a lot of other markets yesterday by the close, like we'll come back to the treasuries, by yesterday's close they were basically where they started. No change on the day. The movement was overnight, but that was not the case for oil. Oil jumping up there really hard. Gold and silver are still doing pretty good, although silver is a little bit behind gold. Kappa is really jumping. So that would be indicative of what, we're seeing. That probably is because of what we're seeing in China. Like China is really, really trying to stimulate their economy hard now, and that's going to drive demand for copper. Japanese yen. We're a little bit concerned about the Japanese yen because I kind of starting to get some signs that like they're putting the carry trade back on, and if the yen starts getting too low, then it's a problem. Right now they're kind of holding this support area though, and the dollar is sitting right there at 100.3. And then lastly, we've got Bitcoin. Well, there's nothing that interesting to say about Bitcoin, but they're still above 60K. So, all right. Well, yesterday I was a little bit late. I don't know why. I spent a lot of time eating yesterday. And then the stream died. Oh my gosh, yesterday. What a weird day yesterday was. But now I think I started a little bit too early. I think most of you guys aren't getting here until like 7:30. It's okay. I'll wait. It's okay. We'll wait for you. We're not going to do anything interesting. The treasuries do kind of look like they're heavy, though. They're hugging the bottom end of that range, at least.
Western allies play down hopes for Zelensky's plan to end the war.
Oh, you know what? I need to turn off the news clock there. I'm sorry about that. You got a freebie there that time. There we go. There's Uzi. So yesterday I was too late. Today I was too early. I started the stream. I was like, where is everybody? I haven't been coming in until 6:30 lately. So yesterday it was 6. I really don't know why I was so late yesterday. Like I wasn't paying attention. I just went through my routine. I sat down and I was like, holy crap. Like 10 minutes. I was watching a police activity. What's that? What about what? Oh, man. Body cams. I got you. Oh, boy. Basically the modern day version of Cops, the TV show. I remember when I was a kid, that was like super popular, and my parents would not let us watch that show. Yeah, minus the commentary and theatrics. Oh yeah, you know what's the weirdest thing is, like, that guy's voice, at least I think it's his voice, is like one of those voices you can use on TikTok with their AI text to speech stuff. Oh, it's really crazy. It's a Freedom of Information Act body cam footage. I don't know. I'm looking at this. I feel like we're in a situation where we could see some movement from treasuries. I'm concerned about sellers coming in, but it could flip around and go long. I wouldn't put that outside of the range of possibilities. But at the moment, it looks pretty quiet. Let's come back through here. Oh, yep. Notes. I keep my computer on pretty much all the time. And so when my power went out, I kind of had some issues, right? Like, there's things that I normally have open and I'm still getting them all together. So that time I didn't have the terminal open with the correct privileges. Yeah. Today is the 24th though, right? Oops. That was wrong. That's why I did that. Okay. Do I have to RM link it? I screwed up. It's okay. I know how to fix it. Okay. Flows. China easing overnight. It's a big one. Okay, we do have Bowman speaking today. House price index. CB consumer confidence. Richmond Fed. ECB speakers. 2-year auction. 2-year auction. Let's also add on top of here end of month flows because it is the last month of the week. Joe Biden announces the DoD will spend 500 million researching women's health at the Clinton Global Initiative. Jeez. Am I blowing that out of proportion, or is that going to be a story that conservatives really start talking about? That frankly Trump starts talking about. Kind of seems like something that could get people upset. You saw it on Real Clear Politics. Okay, so speaking of what we've got going on here tonight, the China easing overnight, that's a pretty big deal, but we also have a lot of kind of, let's say, B tier news today. And then we have auctions and we have end of month stuff. So there might be some big flows out there lurking, but they kind of seem like they're being a little bit shy because we have so much else going on. I think that's what's going on. And I can't say if we took the China easing overnight out, and honestly, I think that's a sell, but that one's a hard call. If you take these ones though, we don't really know. The 2-year auction would be a buy. End of month flows might be a buy. Hold on. Is the end of month flows a buy? Well, I'm going to say probably. But mild one. The end of month flows are probably going to be milder than some other months past. Apparently, Joe Biden is president. I tell you what, the evidence that like Joe Biden's not in charge at the very least sure is stacking up, right? Because he just goes from like vacation to vacation and stuff. It's a little bit, and you know, like when I look at international affairs and stuff like that, I think it shows. Like the president, one of the biggest roles that the president plays is the bully pulpit. You know, like when he talks, everybody in the nation listens. That the news usually cover, unless it's Donald Trump, but usually they cover it. You know, like a lot of what the president does is kind of like a PR role, and that's been absent for quite some time now. And it's like getting worse. Like they were trying on the Israel Gaza thing, but as of late, even that's kind of like died down. And it doesn't matter at all. Well, I mean, the scary thing is that $1 billion is pretty small in the larger scheme of things now. But at the same time, it's like, okay, $500 million? That's so much money. Like, there are so many things that you could do with that in the United States. And like, it's just government waste, fraud, and abuse all over the place, right? Wow. That's the world we live in right now. I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to deal with. The kind of a hard thing for us to fix. I'm more curious, though, if they're able to turn it into a political issue or not. The thing that I was seeing yesterday that I was kind of wondering, like, let's see how this turns out, was that Zelensky was over here in the United States. He was actually in Pennsylvania, basically trashing Trump and JD Vance to reporters, which seems like a really bad strategic decision on his part. Like, first of all, yeah, let's really create enmity between myself and one of the political candidates, right? And then B, you're creating this kind of impression. I don't think it's a smart decision for him. Republicans were getting upset about it. I don't know if it's like a story that has traction, but Republicans are starting to get upset about it. I kind of think that decision, like I've been sitting here like, listen, can't let Russia just come in and steamroll that country. I really don't want that to turn into a quagmire that lasts for decades, or like turn into like the Korean War kind of a situation. But I'm also pretty skeptical at this point of Ukraine's ability to expel Russia from its borders and return things back to the old borders. And it kind of seems to me like Zelensky is still in denial about this situation. And, the Republican establishment was wanted to help and was still saying, our far right flank, they want to just have no help for Ukraine. We think that's crazy. We're still going to help, give funding that's necessary or whatever. But when you start pulling that stuff, I think that you just completely destroyed any goodwill that any Republicans had for you. Can't deal with it, just got to go with it. Learn. Let them rig the elections, launder the money, and expand their global wars to displace cheap foreign labor and bring it to the global north to bolster our debt servicing and social programs for a few more generations. Signing the shot. I'm not 100% sure which deal your particular. That was a deal with Ukraine, right? I kind of only vaguely remember what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. The problem that I see right now is that if there's not a more so I'm not going to say that it's like Donald Trump has to win this election or the United States is doomed sort of a thing, but the electorate is kind of starting to get tired of trying. If the people that have been harmed by globalist policies don't get some relief this time around, or maybe you have another chance with another Republican administration after that, but you're going to start to see a pretty large swath of the American electorate just completely tune out. And Democrats might think, that would be great. Then the Democrats can just win everything. No, it won't be great. I guarantee you that won't work very well for you in the long run. Because you're just going to continue to ignore the problem until it becomes so bad that, you know, then we're talking real stuff. You know, so, well, sometimes you listen when you're at that level of global politics, almost everything that you do is going to have some dramatic effect on people's lives, including people dying from it. So in the end, everyone goes along. No, you won't be able to go along with it anymore, though. That's a video on Instagram. You gave me an Instagram link, and I'm like, Instagram? Josh Shapiro signs an artillery shell with a smiling Vladimir Zelensky in the background. Shapiro stated that Pennsylvania is the arsenal of democracy. We must all do our part in the fight for freedom, from the workers in Scranton who make Pennsylvania the arsenal of democracy to the brave Ukrainian soldiers protecting their country. Gosh, could you sound more like rote propaganda, Mr. Shapiro? Good grief. Like I get what they're doing. It's okay, but you're not doing a very good job at it. Jeez. Okay, Zelensky is currently in the United States to present his victory plan. The visit occurs as the U.S. is preparing to deliver another $375 million military aid. I honestly, this is such a huge mistake. I think this is such a huge mistake for Ukraine. So, like, if you really think that you have a chance at quote-unquote victory and you want to come and do a tour in the United States to convince political leaders that it's possible, then go for it. But injecting yourself into the presidential campaign, big no-no. Big no-no. Well, so what will people do? I think that what will happen is people will tune out. They will just completely shut down. And the Democrats will go wild. And you will end up with California everywhere. And it probably won't take more than 5 years before you can't do anything anywhere. And then you probably run into a very long period of stagnation. Meaning that those kind of deadlines, like 2030, I think you're talking about it like when the entitlement programs come to a head and start to be an issue, right? It'll just bring that date closer. Right. In other words, if a large portion of Americans tune out, it will accelerate. It'll accelerate your problems. Because they won't just tune out like, I'm not that engaged of a voter. I'm not that engaged in politics, etc., etc. They'll like tune out of everything. When you start violating the social contract in the way that they are, like people, you know, they just do what they want at that point, right? It doesn't matter what economic cataclysm could happen, they'll make people okay with it. Well, I mean, I don't think that you can make people okay with starving. Like... Just watch California, man. Like it's already happening. It's already happening in California that like people are leaving. It hasn't turned into like a complete disaster where even the most diehard lefties in the state can, you know, they can still deny what's going on. But it's happening over there. I think that if you elect a Kamala Harris, that you're basically going to see like all of the swing states kind of turn, well, all of, let's say all of the mildly Democrat states, and it will be kind of like California, and swing states will kind of start going that direction. Is what I think they'll go. It's I mean, there's the pendulum, it goes, you know, I was thinking about some of the things I've been reading in Making Sense of Chaos, because, you know, they talk about well, it's an agent-based system. I mean, his big thing is that one of the best ways to study chaotic systems is to have agent-based models, where you create a bunch of different characters with programming code to behave a certain way, and then you let them all go and interact and see how that system plays out. And sometimes you can replicate, you know, you can show how really simple dynamics can lead to extremely complicated behavior that's difficult to explain without understanding like the base system. And so it can give us real insight into complex systems, especially financial markets. And that's why he wrote the book, because those agent-based models are starting to give us economic models that are a lot more effective. And one of the things that kind of comes out is that for some of these systems, chaos is like a necessary part of it. Like for the economy, when they did these models with the economy, they found that like when they told everybody to do the optimal thing, that the economy just stagnated and didn't grow. That it was that chaos and that pendulum swing was necessary. So if the pendulum is swinging and you stop it, then what's going to happen? It's just going to stop swinging. The whole thing will fall apart very quickly. And so, like, you're not wrong about some of these things where it's like, well, you know, like, what are people going to do? Because I'm not implying that, like, well, if they don't do this, then there will be a revolution. No, I don't think that's what will happen. What will happen is I think that the whole system will freeze up. It'll freeze up and start to die. And in a way that, like, really, really significantly destroys people's livelihoods and is not... It's a condition that can't last for very long, essentially. You know? Like we're talking 2008 level financial problems, where you're having to come in and completely save the economy every day. You have to have that pendulum, man. And the pendulum has swung too far in favor of globalism. It's coming back. If you stop the pendulum, you're doing more harm. Even if you're like a globalist, okay, like you are a part of the World Economic Forum, you believe in all of their ideals, all of these things, and like, look, free trade generally is good, has been good for the world, okay, but listen, like, stopping the pendulum is not what you want to do. You're hurting your own cause by doing that, to be honest. Let the pendulum swing over. Let them go too far that way. Bring it back. We learn a little bit every time. The super rich see it, the poor experience it, and the middle class argues over whether or not it's happening. Maybe. Do you think... I mean, so... How do you think that applies to the current situation? Like, are we heading for a recession and we're all just kind of like in denial about it? There's I mean, the chances are higher than it's ever been. I'm kind of the opinion that we're kind of in a unique economic situation, and a lot of people are trying to read things based on history that aren't really applicable to today. But we can't deny that there are a couple of really bad signs. 8-Ball says I'm not in. Okay, so 8-Ball thinks there will be a recession. Well, I'm about to find out, man. I kind of been like, what is the word? Let me collect my thoughts here. I've kind of just been stalling to wait until we got a couple more people here and everything, because I started so early and it was a slow, beginning of the stream. And it's really not something that I want to talk about. At first I was like, well, we're just not going to say anything. But the more that I thought about it, the more that I was like, well, we have to talk about it, because one, it does end up being relevant to what we do on the stream. And if I don't talk about it, I'm giving up like my best resource. So I have to talk about it. So here's what's happening. Not to get like super serious all of the sudden, but like now I feel like I'm ready to talk about it. So let's talk about it. And then we're going to talk about it, and you can ask questions, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. We can just move on, okay? I got let go from my job yesterday. After the stream died, the power went out. When the power got back on, I got everything running, went to the bathroom, came back, and they were pinging me. They wanted me to get on a call, and they said, we're terminating. Yep. Your employment is that we're terminating your employment. That was it. And then I was gone, and I get locked out of the laptop that they had. They wanted me to send the laptop, so I mailed the laptop in, and that was all they gave me. They were like, you'll get stuff in the mail about Cobra if you choose to use Cobra insurance. And that was it. No severance or anything. So I'm not going to, maybe later we can talk about what happens. But I don't know if now is the appropriate time to do. I was there for 1 year. I was already searching pretty aggressively. Not as aggressively as I should have, but I was already kind of on the lookout, because I had seen things very early on that concerned me. But apparently they beat me to the breakup. So I was there for a year. Yeah, I have to say, like, the one thing I will say is, like, for a high paying tech job, and I've been there for a year, to not give any kind of severance whatsoever is awfully dirty. All of the sudden, it's like, oh, hey, you're only going to get half a paycheck this paycheck, and it's the end of the month, so good luck, So if you only get half of a paycheck and you get paid bi-monthly, that means that unless your housing costs are less than 25% of your monthly income, you're screwed. You're screwed. I'm okay. I'm okay because, number one, it is less than 25% of my my monthly income, and because I saved up, right? Okay. I will. So here's what I'll do. Okay. Can you? No, I don't. I really don't think so. So the really bum thing is that they are in Missouri, which basically has like the worst unemployment benefits. Okay, like the unemployment benefit in Utah is twice the unemployment benefit in Missouri. Okay. When your unemployment benefit looks bad compared to Utah, that's bad. That's bad. But it's, anyways, Missouri is an at-will employment state, so there's really nothing you can do about it. Here's what I'll do, Uzi. I will message you. This will take a second. I will message you what happened. Okay? And then everybody else on the stream can judge based on your reaction. Okay, what happened without having to go into the details about, telling everybody about what happened. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. Okay, wait, where are you? Where are you? There you are. Give your reaction via emoji. Okay. I'm going to give you, first, I'm going to give you the short answer, and then I'm going to give you the unabridged answer. Okay, do good. We're relying on you, Uzi. Okay. Okay, there's the short answer. And now we'll see how he responds to them. You'll be fine in a year. It will turn out to be a good thing. Get a couple of headhunters. So I'm not too concerned about it. Granted, the tech industry is rough right now. And but it seems like that the job that I have is still in fairly high demand. And I already have some really, really good leads. I was looking before anyways. So, I even have interviews set up. Uzi just raises an eyebrow. Yeah. he's kind of like, really? Like, really? That's... Here, now I'm going to give you the expanded story, okay? Okay. That's the expanded story. Okay, let's see here. Let me read Apol's story now. I was putting my transmission in yesterday. Fought the transfer case a lot, got it almost in, realized my head was stuck in between the frame and the case, and I panicked. So after a minute of playing with my head stuck and hurting, couldn't get it out at any angle, and had to rip the transfer case off and free myself. Wow. Okay, well, I'm not going to take responsibility for filling everyone in, but it's pretty silly. Something I'd expect from that kind of job, though. Right. It is pretty silly, but it's like, they do that sort of thing in corporate sometimes. So the thing that frustrates me about it is that I was working really hard. Like, I was putting a lot of time and energy into that. There was so many things on fire and everything, and I was, trying to improve the performance. And I basically did, like, mission accomplished, I guess. But then, no, they weren't happy. And I could go more into it, but maybe we'll talk about that after, we've got a new job and everything. I don't have any time to waste because, again, they didn't give me... That really makes me mad. Let's just say they're not going to get a very good Glassdoor review. Like, good grief. But, so I don't got any time to waste. Like I have savings, so I should be okay for 1 or 2 months, but... I basically, need to get something as soon as possible. So, what do you mean that's it? Oh, that I have savings for a month or two? Well, I mean, so like, I probably have savings to last several years, but, like, that would be like diving into IRA accounts and things like that, right? But like, I can sell off the stock portfolio and stuff, right? That's 2 or 3 months. Have new spam accounts on Discord. If you see, like, do you have any mutual servers with them? If you still have a mutual server with that server, then tell me. Otherwise, just report it to Discord because there's nothing I can do. Yeah. But I put the savings in the market, in safe places in the market, but in the market. So like, I'm gonna have to sell stuff. I'm not happy about that. I don't want to sell my stuff. That was, my funsies. I don't know, man. Yeah, hopefully you get back to normal pretty quickly. Oh, so that's why it's like, man, if there's a recession, really a recession full on coming, then I'm fucked. At the moment, I feel pretty good. In fact, there's an opportunity coming that I would really, really like. So, whenever things like this happen to me, it usually comes out better for me. So, what doing an OnlyFans with news? No. Well, so again, like the part of the reason to bring it up is like, well, that really affects my ability to take on risk here. All of the money that we have in these accounts is like completely segregated, and I don't need to live on or anything, and it wouldn't be enough to live on anyways. So we just keep doing the stream what we're doing, but I'm not going to be in a very good place to take very many trades. While I'm under the stress of trying to find a new job. But then the second thing, and there's three things. The second thing is that, you can keep an eye out for me. I do site reliability engineering, but maybe there's some opportunities out there where my expertise here on the stream will be useful, right? And, so there could be some opportunities there. So keep an eye out for me. Ask around for me. I would appreciate it. And the number 3 thing is, it is going to give me some more time to catch up on content here on the channel. I have not been making very much content here other than the stream, because when I'm done with work, I'm so exhausted that I didn't really have time to sit there and do extra reading and write a script and try and record it on the weekend and everything. Now I will have some time. So I get everything time boxed. One might think, just sit and submit resumes all day long. Nah, I'm going to time box it and going to go through the things that are there. And I have a list of, the follow up and everything. So I think I got a good system, but I should have time. So I think I'll make some YouTube shorts. So if you could please, when you see my YouTube shorts, watch the YouTube shorts, like them, comment back, ask me questions. You can ask me whatever you think would be interesting for a YouTube short. Ask me in those comments, and then I can reply to those comments. And I'm going to try and do it with YouTube shorts, because I honestly kind of a little miffed with TikTok at this point. So, I'm hoping that YouTube will be a better platform for me. My web developer friend was always bouncing around jobs because it was always contract work. He changed jobs a lot more than I thought someone with that skill set would. Well, if they're really just like websites, and especially like the look and feel of a website, I can totally see that. Do some political stuff as well. I think that the first video that I want to make today will be a little bit of political analysis. I don't want to get too deep into my own opinions, but I will in as much as I think that it's useful to help people understand. Because something that happens a lot is people are misinformed, or people only have one view of it. And so they don't understand how likely something is to happen because they haven't been seeing the otty side of it, right? It happens. Well, that's happening a lot right now. Like, I don't think that many, just kind of average Republicans realize how hard young single women are leaning on the abortion issue right now. Even though it's not a national issue, they're all in on Kamala Harris because of abortion. This is what makes this election so hard to predict, I think. It's kind of because when I look at the way the race is going and kind of all of those sort of tea leaves, it looks very clear to me that Donald Trump is going to win. But when I look at the polling in this situation, with the polling, it's closer. Things have gotten a little bit closer. They're closer than they ever were with Biden and Hillary. And the makeup of the electorate is more unsure than ever. So the polling's probably not likely to be very accurate. Is that good for Trump or bad for Trump? I don't know. But I might fight with people on some issues like that, especially if it's the inflation one, because I think that what I'm seeing, especially on Reddit at least, is that a lot of Democrats just kind of had their head in the sand that whole time. It was like, I don't know, were you just at home all day drinking? Like, not paying attention to all this stuff? To, like, why do Americans blame Biden for inflation? Well, because he had a fiscal stimulus bill at the beginning of his term that was unnecessary, and the economic advisors told him not to do, and he did it anyways. And then when he said, oh, well, we're going to fix it, and he had the Inflation Reduction Act, which did nothing. That's why he gets the blame. People seem to think, or people on the left seem to think, well, but, of course the economy is having a hard time because we were left a tattered economy by Donald Trump. No, you weren't. The economy was booming when Donald Trump left. The economy was booming. It was too hot. Well, it was on the road to too hot. And then you stimulated it some more so that the 2021 market was just bonkers. No, you wanted to blame it on Trump. Okay. Nah. Like, most people aren't going to see it that way. So I might get into opinion on that, but overall, I want to keep it more to analysis. Right. My role is not as a talking head for politics. My role is an analyst and to push issues specific to the markets. Now we're going to get into that stuff. I'm concerned with what I see the role of index funds in the markets right now, and the way that corporate boardrooms are going. And we're going to talk about that. And I really want to push that issue. But got to stay in my lane, The economy has very little to do with all the clever politicians. It's probably the case. It's probably the case. Granted, the fiscal and monetary stimulus, it was a choice that we made, and it was a significant factor behind the inflation, right? Well, they each provided about a third, and the other third being from supply chains. But the third from supply chains kind of came down to, because you shut everything down. You can't shut everything down, but then supplement everybody's income so that their consumption stays the same or increases. That's not gonna work, right? So, but there is probably this thing that, like, we were probably destined to have a little bit of a run of inflation after the pandemic, and some weakness and difficulty recovering. Like, the idea that it was just going to be down and back up V-shaped recovery and then everything would be fine after that, it was a little naive, and I think that's what some people expected as well. But that's why I think it's important to point out, like, the sequence of events and everything. As, like, so some people will say, well, okay, so, like, the two stimmy checks that Trump gave us didn't contribute to inflation. Well, like, look, if the two stimulus checks were bad, then what Joe Biden did after that was double bad, because you already had a problem when you made it worse, when you should have known better. That's why people come down on it the way that they do. He was the last one messing around in the sandbox, and that's why he gets the blame. He probably could have just done nothing. He could have just sat and looked at the thing, and he would probably be in a better spot. Then he would maybe have an alibi to say, like, it's Donald Trump's fault. But we also, some of the questions that you guys ask, especially like new traders ask about order flow and stuff, those are also things that I would like to get into on YouTube. And the psychology and all of those sorts of things. So, yeah, so I'll make those. I've got some scripts to work on. I'm basically like time boxing my time. So, like, in the morning, mostly following up on my leads for a new job. And then in the afternoon, we'll make a YouTube short. Then maybe after lunch, I'll make a YouTube short. And then the afternoon, it will be finishing this book up. I'm in the home stretch on it, and writing scripts for videos and or recording videos. So we should be able to, even if this only lasts like this week and the next week, which is what we're hoping. There's still a lot that I can get done in that amount of time, right? So help me out when the content comes. Watch it, like it, comment, leave questions. Even if you don't like, even if you know the answer, you have an opinion or whatever, ask the question anyways. Like, that engagement is the most important thing to the channel. No, Octavia says long from 12. Well, they sure did flip back up there pretty hard, didn't they? Let's analyze this a little bit. Was there strong delta on it? Not really. Not really. It kind of looks like it was just like, they didn't have enough to keep going down, so they kind of let off. But it looks like it's still just ranging in a little bit random sideways action. Oh, you know what? By the way, that reminds me. I was, because the computer restarted, I didn't get my, some of the changes that I made, like the oil is not fixed, for instance. This one, CL, and it should be V, right? Yeah. VZ. No? It's not? Is it? It's November. Is it November? Yeah, it's November, and that's not on my list here. Hold on. Dynamics. Alex Jones explains how airports are slave. What? That's too crazy. Oh. It wasn't done, sorry. Close. There we go. Okay. CL X. There we go. I think that we're not allowed to talk about Alex Jones because he's banned on YouTube, right? So wasn't that one of the things that Crowder got in trouble for? Was he had Alex Jones on a live stream or something like that? Oh, it was funny. It's probably a whole conspiracy theory about the Denver airport, isn't it? I tell you what, the Denver airport sure is something. It's a weird airport. There are large sections of that airport. I think that they've made large sections of that airport to be like it could be a military base if necessary. So like there's just these huge empty spaces in it that some people have wandered around some corners that they weren't supposed to and then ended up in these places and are like, what the F is this? Right? But we don't really know what it's about. It's classified, right? That's what sometimes there's things that are like quote unquote classified and like we find out about them. Like the one that drives me crazy. The one that drives me crazy is Roswell. We know what Roswell was and why the government was kind of cagey about it. They said that it was just a weather balloon. Well, it was a weather balloon, but it wasn't just a weather balloon. It was a weather balloon that was used to detect nuclear tests. That's how the United States was detecting whether or not Russia was doing their own nuclear tests. And they even can explain now, like, because one of the things was that there was like this foil that, had like some sort of strange foreign language on it. And they're like, what's this? That's alien. Like what? But like they even can explain like the store where like they got that material from and everything. Like the whole thing is completely explained now. But some conspiracy theory people don't know that information has been declassified. But the Denver airport thing, that's probably something that will always be classified. So we'll never completely know why the Denver airport is the way that it is. By the way, on Discord, guys, if you want to send me a message, you don't have to add me as a friend. Just message me. If Discord says that you're not allowed to message them, it's because of your privacy settings. My privacy settings are left completely open. So you just send me the message. I will get a quote-unquote message request, and then I do it. Don't bother trying to add me as a friend because I get so many people. I can't add everybody. It makes the friends feature useless. So I'm not going to add them. Yeah, I think that was a good play. That, by the way, was right there at 15 is touching the cost basis short. So that's a pretty good standard pullback, isn't it? From there to there. Oop. Right there to the line. Pretty good. I would say we are starting to get... I'd say it's still pretty small. Well, let's see here. The negative... The bottom was 11. So... We're hitting on 14,000 contracts along here just in this little bit. Or maybe I should zoom in on it a little bit. We are starting to get a little bit. And I mean, it's a good 20 minutes or so of pretty consistent long action as well. So maybe we have a meta order long here. Which would be good. That would be something I would typically want to go. I'm not even going to bother with a sim order, guys. It's so weird the way that things like this affect you because, like, at least my mind, I don't know if everybody's like this, but my mind is always in denial about it. Like, I'm just thinking about the things that I'm thinking, and I'm just, you know, completely not thinking about it or whatever. But the reality is that, like, the chemicals are flowing, man. I can feel, and I can feel that in my body, even if I don't think that it's affecting my thoughts. And so I know that it does have an impact. If I got into a trade, I'd probably be super shaky. Superstitious? You think I'm superstitious about it? No. No, be superstitious. That's bad luck. Serious. Well, let's pop around and see if there's anything new interesting out here. Seems like magic. Sam Altman says ChatGPT will bring unimaginable prosperity and fix climate. I honestly don't trust anything that guy says anymore. I am not entirely convinced that he really understands what's going on. I think that he's just the CEO guy. U.S. home prices hit new record high, but year-over-year appreciation slows significantly. Well, that's kind of what I've seen. I forgot that was at the top of the hour, so that was 5.9% versus... Oh, right in as expected. But at the top of the hour, we have CB consumer confidence, so... Well, we're coming into the open. It looks like there's maybe a pretty... It's the imbalances coming into the open are pretty mild. So I think they will have a pretty calm open here. Oil shorts carried out on stretchers. The latest China mini bazooka is supportive for oil. Oh yeah, you know, I kind of had mentioned that at the beginning in the stream and when we were going through the things, but I kind of forgot to put that in context with the move in China. We weren't really sure what the move down was, but the move up surely was China boosting oil demand. I would expect that to put everything into like buy all the things, but so far it's kind of been a little bit like meh. Let's fix this issue we were having earlier with... There we go. It's kind of weird that the scene transitions got messed up, but whatever. Was that big order at 15 a little sus? This big iceberging at 15.5 though. And that order pulls, disappears. Maybe they got filled at 15.5 and are fine. well, didn't hardly take anything to take it off her at 15, so it's not there anymore. The top of r/advice animals today on Reddit. Donald Trump yesterday said he won't run for president in 2028 if he loses. And r/advice animals think he will run for president, I guarantee it. I don't. I very skeptical about his ability to be able to run in 20, like his health wouldn't be there. Let alone like there'd hardly be any chance of him winning. Like if he can't beat Kamala, then he's not going to win, right? U.S. Army removes diversity requirement for selecting high-level non-commissioned officers.
Block by.
Okay. Well, I don't like taking a trade off of a large order, but I'd say with the way that played out, because they were kind of starting to turn down, for them to turn in and be buying here still is probably a good sign. I don't know if that means that it's going to take off right here, right now, though. This might get kind of stuck at 16, because, like, there's a lot of volume has been going through there. So, like, why would they want to move around if they're getting the liquidity that they need at 16? Right? Yeah. Fire does look a little aggressive, though. It was it a 5K buy? Really? Ah, you're right. So 5K buy followed by 1,000 sell and 1,000 buy. That's a really, really big market buy order. Yeah, you can be wary about that. A big order like that popping out is not. I'd say that it's probably good for like the overall trend, maybe continuing through the day, but I don't know if it's a very good sign for this particular price, right? Kind of means that we're likely to be stuck here for a little while. I shouldn't say probably means that the information that we have suggests that this can kind of hamper price from moving away from this area. Here's an article on r/conservative about Zelensky calling JD Vance too radical. Zelensky is a fool to pick sides on this, even if the left is his gravy train. And we got Josh Shapiro signing bombs for Zelensky, thus sealing the Democrat Party's alignment, shifting to the pro-war party. You know what? The Democrat Party was never the anti-war party. They just fooled you during Afghanistan and Iraq. But they were, and it was only because it was a Republican. But they've always been the pro-war party, guys. Republicans didn't start the Vietnam War, okay? Like, it's all Democrats. Man, that one like really blows my mind. I don't think that anybody in the US really thinks of it that way, but that's really clearly what happened to me. A Democrat started the war, a Democrat expanded the war, and after they had done that like 2 or 3 times, finally the public decided, you know what? Let's put a Republican in. And so they put Nixon in, and Nixon ended the war. Nixon basically ended the war, and then Jimmy Carter pulled out completely. Like we got disinvolved from the war, but like we still had diplomats and everything there, but then Jimmy Carter, you know, grabbed tail and ran. That's what happened. And you think that the Democrats are the anti-war party, huh? Well, the activists, all the hippies, they were left-leaning people, but the Democrat establishment, it's always been pro-war. Because that's how the Democrat establishment came to be, was Franklin Delano Roosevelt in World War II, right? Well, the 2-year is coming back a little bit more aggressively than these other instruments, so... Yeah, my gosh, my 2-year-old did not sleep well last night, and he is whining right now. Okay, well, I didn't get too much from that thread. I was hoping to see how much do conservatives care about it, but that thread isn't too long, unfortunately. ZV should get to 124.16. I can see how you could make the argument that it would have a tendency to want to snap to that, but the flows are not cooperating right now, are they? Flows are kind of all turned down quite sharply there. Kind of looks like the 2-year is done though, so we might be able to settle here for a while. Excuse me. I'm not going to read the title out to you, but there was a title in the Epic subreddit that really made me laugh. What are they doing? What is Epic offering people? Literally everything is on the table, and I mean everything. Spit on us, use us, and throw us out like tomorrow's garbage, so long as you give us those sweet, sweet publishing rights, baby. That's all Mama wants. You don't have to call us Mama either, unless that's your thing. No judgments here. Just give us your games. He didn't actually say that. There's no way. You know, I'm often bothered by that. I just don't, I would like to do things like play video games, and I don't really feel like I have the time or energy to do it with the toddlers. It's not really something that I can do and make sure that my 4-year-old doesn't murder my 2-year-old. But if there's any time in gaming, to do that sort of a thing and miss, it's now. So, I'll be okay. So I kind of thought that we were just going to chill at 15, but we fell down another 2 ticks there. So let's recenter. That means that we're getting a counterflow. I mean, in some instances, if this was a counterflow that I was expecting, you ride this for all it's worth, right? Because those counterflows can be really massive and will push the market further than the original move up would. Like I would expect if this is a counterflow to at least get below 12, if not to the lows. But I wasn't really necessarily expecting a flow, and kind of the way that it turned around is a little bit suspicious. It wasn't like, we came up and then somebody else grabbed. No, it was like there was big orders and there was clashes up there and everything. I kind of feel like this counter movement is maybe more endogenous rather than a large meta order. Or at least I'm not sure whether it's endogenous versus, a large player was coming in and had to sell today. So I'm a little bit cagey about that one. But there is some degree of inverse sine law there, because look at it. It takes about 45 minutes for the market to recover. We came up there. We had only been up there for about 15 minutes, not even that, and we fell down there. That's something indicative of a large flow, and there is some delta with it. It's just because I wasn't expecting it, I don't know if that's really going to be one that continues or not. And it is kind of actually filling that hole in pretty quickly as well. So that's another thing that kind of makes me think maybe it's endogenous. Like somebody made some ill-advised trades up here at the top and are puking or something like that. So you know what? Yesterday, I got this little headband thing that goes onto the headphones, because I was finding the headphones really uncomfortable, and I put it on, and I was sitting there and was just reading, I was reading with the headphones on and playing white noise so that I couldn't hear any kids outside. And it hurt. Still hurts. And right now, it doesn't really hurt. Right now, it feels fine. I keep getting back to this, like, in the early morning, I feel fine. I wonder if some of it is just, like, if I didn't have a big enough lunch or something like that, that kind of contributes to not liking it. But no, I still think it's uncomfortable. I'm going to return these. I am. I'm going to return these. You know what? These were, like, the reason I got these ones was because, well, sometimes I want to produce and I don't want to use my speakers because it'll wake kids up or attract the kids' attention. No. Because the downside of a headphone that, you know, was up to that task is they're too heavy. They're about 50% heavier than, like, my old headphones. And I find that uncomfortable. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to downgrade to some headphones that maybe aren't so amazing, but still have quality materials, and try and go for something that's just ultimate comfort. I agree to return those originally. You have to find the perfect pair for your head and ears, and the perfect one may not come from the namest brand. Well, you know, it's kind of interesting because it really seems to me like within that price range and that kind of like, so it's a combination of I want something really sturdy, but I also want something that gives me the full bass and I can produce with. It really seems like the DT1770s from, sorry, how do you pronounce it? Bayer Dynamic is like the only game in town. But I can shift. So I got those from Drop, which is kind of like owned by Corsair, drop.com. And there was another headphone that I had seen that people said, these are like the most comfortable, audiophile headphones, closed back headphones, that people said were like the most comfortable headphones. And it was this right here, the Mezzi 99 Noir closed back headphones. There's also this Dan Clark, but I don't know how I feel about that one. I think I can rock those. I think that would be fine with my bald head. They've got a nice, it's like walnut on the outside, but it's been like stained dark mocha colored. I quite like that. So I'm thinking about switching to that. It won't give me quite the same quality sound, but you know, this is kind of more for like I've consigned myself to, these headphones are primarily for monitoring myself when I'm on the stream. So something that looks really nice and professional and is comfortable is probably the most important thing. And they don't necessarily have to sound amazing. That's what I'm thinking. So I don't know if you know anything about those, but that's kind of, if you have an alternative recommendation, I can look at that too. See, I guess the other one that I was looking at is just like the Sonys, but make sure the advice comes from other baldies. Well, I think one of the things, did I just close that window? I think I closed it. Oh, well. Is that it has the headband. This is helping. This is helping. I think the headphones are still too heavy. Like, this seems to be comfortable, doesn't bother me too much just during the stream, but I don't think I can wear this all day. Probably gonna have like a little grid, because it's kind of like it's 3D printed in a grid. I'm probably gonna have like an grid indent on my head by the end of the day. Okay, I was a little bit concerned about, it's like a counterflow coming in, kind of looks endogenous. The flows have really died out now. We do have news coming at the top of the hour, so they must be waiting for that. Let them get that through with, and then we'll see which way they decide to take it. What are you laughing at, Uzi? Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. I don't care. You know what I just find so... Man, I don't know what it was about that got me on this thought. But like one of the things that I've been ruminating about recently is that I get a little tired of everything in our society seems to be you having to appease everybody all the time. You know? Like, come on stream, have to we're trying to entertain people. Got to be careful not to say anything too offensive, because then people might not want to watch the stream. And then you go to work and you have to make sure, you have to make sure that your boss likes you, because that probably matters more than your actual performance. And, you have to look like the smartest and everything. It's just so exhausting. Because I just don't really want to care about what other people think. And I think about like you're a narcissist. It's a weird thing that there is apparently like an ADHD to narcissist pipeline. Like an ADHD person can become way overly focused on the self. But I tend not to care about those things. Like being a narcissist sounds so exhausting, How do people live like that? It's crazy. I just want to do my thing. But I don't think that I'm being allowed to. Like one of the things that comes back to me over and over again is like my boss at the previous job, not the one that I just left, but the one before that, was really good. And he always said, well, like I feel like I got this figured out, and like all I really have to do is just like promote you guys to other groups and let them know like what you're doing and why it's useful and beneficial to them, and everybody's super happy. And then I see other managers, or think back on other managers, where they kind of think that they're like their whole purpose is like to sniff out weakness and all of this sort of a thing. And I've never been one that's like, I need to be in charge. I would rather just do the work and fill whatever role is needed by the team or the company where I'm working at the time, right? But I'm more and more coming to this light thing that, like, except for that, the way that some people do it really bothers me, and I don't like being in that situation, and so maybe I have to do it myself. But how would I even get in the position to do that? I have no clue. But it keeps coming to my, especially while we're streaming, because I think about it as like, well, kind of part of what you do here on the stream is kind of a little bit like managing and being a leader and stuff. And it would, at the very least, it would probably help the stream if you knew more about that stuff, even if you never did it for your day job. Okay, we got about 5 minutes before the news. risk off? I mean, the S&P 500 is kind of down there, but I'm not getting too much of a hint of like a real problem yet. At least not to like risk off levels. Could very quickly turn into that though. I mean, it is not looking pretty. But, you know, like so far the treasuries haven't, you know, if the S&P 500 goes lower and those treasuries blast out that top side of the regular session high, then I think that we could say that we're seeing risk off flows. Overall, though, I would expect that, you know, we had a pretty good move up overnight off of China easing. You know, we can have a pullback, but I would still expect the stock market today to be pretty good because of China. Okay, there you go. So here's the CB consumer confidence number, 98.7 versus an expected 104. So that is a weak number. You know what though? That's a little weird. So we've had a couple of news events over the last, I don't know. Let's say since the last Fed meeting. Okay. That were kind of like B tier news, but like the market sold off really, or the treasury market at least, sold off really, really hard on them, and they went way further than expected. Here we got the consumer confidence number. I think that's a fairly important number. I think that the miss was relatively significant as well. The Richmond Fed Composite Index also negative 21 versus a negative 12, so that's also a pretty big miss. So those are all things that I think, you know, should be pushing us up, but we didn't go nearly as far as we did on the downside on those other days. So that's very, very curious. I wonder why that kind of dynamic is going on in the market. But they did buy up a good 10,000 contracts. So and the S&P 500 is south. So now we are definitely, of course it was because of news, but we are definitely in like risk off mode now. So if I come back to the volume profile, let's just take a quick look here. Okay. So we are like right there on the edge of overnight lows. Granted, if we were to go lower, there's all of this stuff. So I'm still a little bit skeptical about today just turning into a burner. You know, like if it's going to do that, it's going to bust through all of those levels and come all the way back to here. That'd be an awfully big move. And the reaction to that news was relatively mild. Well, it's about what I would expect, I guess, for B tier news, but not as much as the moves to other B tier news that we had in the last week. So it's kind of curious. Played that little sell-off 16 before the news almost perfectly. Oh, really? You sold that and were able to get out? Jeez. Well, I'm a bit surprised by their reaction to the news, but you know, I feel like that I read that kind of pullback pretty well. I was like, well, could be a counterflow, but I actually think that it's just endogenous in playing a little bit of games with us. So that wasn't too bad. Now, where do we go from here? Because, man, it sure is kind of... When I look at the chart, I'm like, man, that wants to go higher. But I'm not convinced that they've got the flows for that. We've had about 20,000 contracts long after that. That's a lot after a piece of news like that. So they might have a hard time. I mean, if they are able to continue up, then there's a real possibility of a strong trend day, right? But I really don't feel like that's appropriate for this situation. But let's see what happens. I'm not going to trade it today again, but After 11 a.m. Eastern time, it's basically dead Delta short all night long. We just seeing the adjustment to new information by 11. Everyone's mostly done. Yeah. Well, there always seems, there's often that kind of move between 11 and 11:30 though. Like, there's often an additional move, and I think that it has to do with when the European markets close. You know, I don't know how. So I could stream all day today if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I have other things that I want to do. So I think that I'm just going to end things at the regular time, even though I've had a lot of success with, you know, if I stick around for that other 30 minutes. But especially if I'm not taking trades, there's no reason for me to stick around. And in this situation, I don't know how relevant that is because we had 8 o'clock news, right? That 11 a.m. hard stop has saved me many bad trades. Man, I'm surprised you say that, because I mean, hasn't the thing always been that like I always end up being right, but it doesn't move until after I'm gone? I feel like that more often than not, that's what happens, and it's always some sort of a move that happens in the 8:30 hour that like doesn't complete itself until an hour later for some reason. 8:22, yeah. I mean, that is the best time period, though. I didn't even notice them reaching for another new high there. That was pretty aggressive in the 5 and the 2 year. And them reaching. When you look at the 2 year, very clearly long. Yeah, but you gotta know your own strengths and weaknesses. I want stuff to play out fast because I get antsy. Oh. Yeah, you're probably not like me where you just want to hold it all day, right? Well, prior to the... Well... The 16 level in what? I mean, in ZB, we were... What? 08? I mean, it's actually... So you tend to see kind of weird things happen around 16, but in this case on ZB, it kind of looks like they just blew through it and that it hasn't really played a significant role as of yet. I should also point out where our key levels are here in the treasury, because, you know, that move up there was really just crossing the line between the two market makers' major positions. So this isn't like a, oh my gosh, like it's just like a crazy uptrend sort of a reversal sort of a thing. It's not to that yet. They would have to go a lot higher. And by the way, do you see how this line up here is like really wild? It's coming up and down a lot. That's kind of like, there's big icebergs that have been taking profits and have kind of messing things. That line, if we continue to come up, will probably start to become a little bit more consistent, and then we would, you know, come up to it and possibly bounce. But that would take a lot. So right now it's still just kind of like a mildly okay winner, you know? Now, I just want done consistent and fluid flow after getting in. I don't get it. It's hard for me to hang in there. Well, I do. I kind of feel like if I get in, if I buy, I need to see other orders buying behind me. I'm willing to wait it out, and I probably waited out longer than most people. But if I'm seeing outright selling against me, I'm going to jump out almost immediately. Or that's what I should be doing. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to like just get in for the sake of being in and then hope that something happens. No, I want to be in when I think that the flow long is imminent. So if I'm in a trade and it's been 30 minutes and it hasn't moved anywhere for me, I think I've made a mistake. That's weird. New U.S. lawmakers plan for possible mass casualty event, proposing a constitutional amendment to replace members quickly and change various lines of succession in a national crisis. Yeah, because they've got to prepare for when the Anunnaki are about to come in 2030 or something like that, right? Nah, this is real news. You know what? I'm kind of only half joking because in Congress right now, there is a bill going through related to UAP stuff. There's been a lot of like here's the thing, it's not just like, oh, some senator, he's this crazy guy, he's fitting it into the bill. No, like senators have very strong and dramatically opposing opinions on this bill, and they're trying to negotiate in something. They're very serious about it, actually. They're very serious about it. And the rumor mill is that the reason that the government has kind of been getting into disclosure and all of that is that there is something like that the aliens are going to come back in like 5 years or something like that. Like there's a deadline now. We're about to send another 375 million to Ukraine. Really? They really have enough votes to pass something like that? I'm not sure they have the votes. So is this thing? Everybody, I saw this thing the other day. Like these people were saying, "Oh, the reason I want to vote for Kamala Harris is because she has a better economic policy." Well, okay, number one, no, she doesn't. But number two, like, you're crazy if you think that they're going to pass any of that. They're not going to have a large enough advantage in Congress to pass anything. And I really don't think that you can pass aid for Ukraine right now in the U.S. House. Like they did it last time. They're already out of money. Like, are we still on about the aliens? Jesus, it's dumb. I mean, there's something going on, man. So I haven't talked about this in a while, but like, so the reason that all of this stuff happened, right? There's this one guy that basically was hired there, or put in a role to investigate this stuff. And he says that while he was investigating, he saw things that he was very concerned about, but then he felt like he was getting stonewalled by other groups inside of the U.S. intelligence agency / military, all that stuff. Then there's this guy, Christopher Mellon, who was national security advisor, I think it was, under Obama. He didn't like the way that things were going, and so he just released some of those videos. And since that time, the people that were involved in the incident, so it's this Nimitz incident where fighter pilots saw this object that appears to be moving very, very quickly, and they don't know what it is or what the deal is. And they've been coming out, and this guy, Lou Elizondo, I don't know how you say his name, has been coming out and talking as well, because he's kind of like the whistleblower. And as time goes on, he's been saying more and more dramatic stuff. He's pretty much all out said that we have technology from non-human intelligences, essentially. I remember something about an aircraft that it's just this tiny little aircraft, but then you step inside of it and it's the size of a football field. Crazy things like that. So some people think that Lou Elizondo is some sort of intelligence apparatus ruse to like confuse and manipulate people. Other people think that he is a legitimate whistleblower, but it's getting crazy over there in UFO world. And he's kind of hinted, and all of these people are saying that there is kind of like a drop dead date, and I think it is 2030, wherein like the government has to come clean. So we'll see. I'm still a little bit skeptical. I don't think that Lou is like some sort of government disinformation agent, but I don't think that he actually knows all these things that he's saying. The FCC is going to let George Soros buy 200 radio stations and 40 more. Wow, really? Add that to the list of nonsense world-ending. Well, that's certainly not the first world-ending thing I've ever seen on the internet, is it? Yeah, that's for sure. But it's not that I've never seen it like people are testifying about this under oath in front of Congress. That's kind of a significant change worth noting, right? That was another big jump up there, wasn't it? Well, I kind of think if I was to have traded today, the best that I could have done was 20. So you're talking 5 ticks so far. I don't know. And I'd probably still be on it. And like, so let's see. If they get back to 20 before the end of the session, then I kind of think that it would have been a dud trade. But so far, it's looking like continuation. Oh, do you remember that story where there was that fun alien story that actually got people to kill themselves and think that the world was really end? Yeah. Are you selling? I do. So if you go to speculatorseth.com, you can download the indicators. So you can download, install them, and try them out for free. The indicators will work for 2 weeks, and then after that, you have to pay for the license. And the license is only $100 for a lifetime license. So it's a really good deal. It's a lot cheaper than many other indicator packages out there. And I've done all of the work. They're completely custom created by me. And you're not going to find anything even remotely close to them out there. There's a couple of indicators that are kind of like other people have tried to do some things that are similar, but they're not anywhere close to the level of feature and sophistication that mine have. And you also have a free indicator suite, so you should check that one out as well. It's just free. That's got a couple of little tiny tools, and you get the code for it. Those ones are kind of good for like a couple of little tricks. You want to know how to do something, go and look at the code of those, and they're useful. Like the watermarks behind the chart, for instance. Did you hear about Apex banning bonds? No, I did not. What? Apex banned you from trading bonds? Why would they do that? They did? Well, that's mighty suspicious. I can't imagine for the life of me. I would think that would be the last instrument that they would like prevent people from trading. Why would they do that? Maybe it's because they had too many people that figured out how to break the sim with bonds. That could be. Someone mastered trading it and was making too much money. I don't know, but it's a big red flag, yeah. But you know what? Like everything that I hear coming out of Apex sounds like a red flag to me, so right, Apex is the one that keep changing their rules and are denying payouts to people, and See, what's Paul say here? Apex also changed their rules a little again yesterday and are now bragging loudly over how fast their payout approval is now. Oh, is that the case, huh? Okay. They said that people got some off-market fills outside of normal trading hours. That would totally make sense. Yes, that's not good because that means they're paying you from their own pockets. It is. It's straight up. It sounds to me like that you don't get an actual live account unless you've like got an account and kept it for several months. Otherwise, it's and that bothers me because then how is it different from a bucket shop? And why are regulators not looking at that? Because if they are, you're trading literally against a trading firm, they're the ones that are paying you out. That is the same as a bucket shop or a CFD, and that's illegal. So I kind of think that they should regulators being that regulators should look at that. And I don't want any part of it anymore. The funny thing is they now forbid people from buying evals, like from somebody else, or I guess. Also, this is so funny, to be honest. I can't. Okay. I need a pick-me-up. Give me a... I still don't personally have a... Wait, why are we bringing that up? I didn't enjoy Ninja Trader. I'm not going to say you shouldn't go over there. I think that for most people, Ninja Trader would probably be great. For what I was doing, there was a couple of issues with it. Obviously, I wouldn't do stuff with them if I thought like it was bad and was like not recommend going over there or something. Right? Do you still get the nice data, by the way? I'm saying in terms of shithole brokers, Ninja Trader hasn't been that for me in what, 7 years of futures trading? Well, but why? I'm not understanding the comment though that prompted you to start talking about that. That's what I'm missing a little bit of context here. I'm missing a key piece of context that's making me not understand why what the point you're trying to make. Since we're talking about discount brokers and bucket shops, well, I mean, the worst that you're going to get with a discount broker is you have a technical issue, you call in, and you don't get very good support, right? That's about the worst thing that's going to happen to you with a discount broker. I mean, there are real things that can happen, like that you have money in there and everything's fine, but they go kaput and you lose the money because they're committing fraud. But I've never heard of anything like that happening, so I don't think that those. But Apex is a different story. Apex has tons of people that they made the money fair and square and everything, and then Apex says no, actually, we're not going to pay that out. You have to prove to us that it wasn't that you were actually trading it. You have to prove to us that this, that, and the other. And it's clearly all coming from that they aren't putting you live. You're trading against them. It's a bucket shop. It's a bucket shop. I'm still waiting for Maxley to tell us the funny thing, but he's not giving it to us. So I'm, still feel down for today. I feel kind of, when the treasuries are up and we got a big move, that's kind of entertaining. I should feel good, even though I didn't trade it. If I had bought, I think I'd be pretty happy. Wait, how far did this move in terms of yields? Well, if we go from the absolute highs, we got 3.8 to 3.75. So a 5 basis point move, that's pretty significant. Like an 8 basis point move is kind of like the really big ones, and then there are, I think that some of the largest ones that we've seen are like 15 or 20 basis points. How could you not see that though if you're trading a DOM on Apex? Well, so I think what happens, Uzi, is you go and you do the evaluation, and you get the evaluation account, and then as soon as you get the evaluation account, you figure out that that's what the deal is, and you go, wait, what? That's not right. And you go back and you read their facts and their terms of service and everything, and you find out that, oh, actually, I didn't read the fine print closely enough. You don't actually get a real account when you get funded. They will pay you out, but you don't get a real account. And I think that that's what happens to most people. And then, you know, you're kind of already in it. You're like, okay, well, I guess I will just go with this and go along with it. Wouldn't it be suspicious if you market ordered a DOM and didn't? Yeah, it would be. Yeah. But I think that that's what's happening. And the frustrating thing about it is that these funded trader programs are putting a lot of money behind like promoting it. You know? Like, if you're willing, my understanding is if you're willing to sell yourself, they're more than willing to accommodate you. I don't know that directly. That's just rumor. Anybody, I tell you what, it used to be in 2021, I would get people wanting to promote products on this channel literally every day. And I told them all no. The only ones that I accepted were like brokers and a one from Apex once. I would still do a sponsored video for Apex, but not some of the things that people are doing where it's like affiliate links and you're pushing it constantly and it like becomes a huge part of no. But you want to sponsor a video about another subject once? That's fine. I don't understand why people do those. You're an average Joe. You're on the losing end of the math. No one is funding you for you. It's really wild to me how ignorant people are of the statistics. Like, so the first thing is okay, well, 95% of day traders lose. And it seems like every day trader has a way to explain away those results. Well, that's like if you count everybody, and most of the people that get into it don't really know what they're doing. But I'm going to be really dedicated and spend a lot more time than those people. And so I've figured it out. And they think that if they do that, that then all of a sudden their probabilities get to like a favorable, but they're not. If you've like been doing it for 5 years, it's still like an 80% chance that you've lost money. Okay. But then the other thing that I think is wild is that like there's a 30% chance that you will pass the combine just by pure dumb luck. Okay. Like if you come in and you just take one trade a day, literally one trade a day. It could be completely random. You could one trade a day, 6 fixed stop and target and whatnot. There's a 30% chance that you'll pass the combine. That's what our Monte Carlo simulations suggest. And they match up almost exactly with some of the results that I've been able to find from funded trader program firms themselves. And yet you get all these people that go in, they get funded, and now they think that they're trading Jesus. Like, I just... And, you know, when people come to me with back tests, it's just like, if it's less than 5 years, don't bother, man. If it's less than 5 years, don't bother. When I was reading in this book, Making Sense of Chaos, it's one of those things that you talk about. I've been thinking about in my head about, oh, we should do an interview with him. So I got a couple of questions from the book. One of the questions I have, he says that when they were, I forget the name of the company, but basically he was one of those guys that was a part of like that first quant firm way back in the 80s. Forget the name of him, but he said that it took them 5 years to find their edge. And when they found their edge, the edge that they found was like 1/20th the size of the market noise. So I don't know how they're measuring that. If it's like 1/20th the size of the noise, then how do you find the signal? That's a little confusing to me. But they said that in order to find a signal under those conditions, you have to have at least 5 years of data to be able to see the statistical aberrations. That's just to even see it. Like, we take it from the perspective of, okay, you think that you have a strategy and it seems to work and it takes 5 years and then that destroys most strategies. But they're saying that in order to even like see something that's like this super teeny tiny little inefficiency in the market, they need 5 years of data to see it. Wild, right? And then everybody thinks that they're just going to come in and casually trade every day and make money from it. It really is like people are kidding themselves. Don't do this unless you really truly enjoy it and like the market is just what you want to focus your life on. Because if you're doing it for the money, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. Because there's a 95% chance that you fail, and the 5% chance that like you succeed, it will be because of dumb luck and not because you're actually good at it. Want to make money from trading? Do stupid, degenerate things. Don't be smart. Don't be smart.
Block sell.
Being smart just basically means like losing money really, really slowly. Or breaking even. We can break even. That's basically what I do, is I break even most of the time. Yeah. If they don't have failing traders over there at those, then those prop firms don't work. Because they're not actually making the money in the market, because none of those orders are going to the market. I bet you that it's probably like a handful of people that actually have live accounts. And they make the amount that they make from those live accounts probably isn't enough to fund the rest of the business. The funding the accounts is just the one thing that you have to do so that it's an actual legitimate business and not a scam. But the money is made from people blowing accounts. That's what I think. I tell you what, man. I don't feel consciously unhappy. But my body still feels like when I breathe in and it's just come out. I mean, I will sigh all the time, but it just feels so heavy. I don't get any kind of pick up or perk up from things like my system is depressed. Yapping, like pontificating about funded trader programs should be something that like riles me up and gets me going, and I'm just kind of like even toned about it. Yeah, what happened in your personal life? Like well, I don't know if it's a big blow to confidence as much as maybe it should be. To be honest, I feel kind of... Oh, what's the word? I don't know. I'm mad about it. I feel like I was wronged. So like I do not doubt my ability to move on and find another job and work all of that. Of course, the circumstances are tough, so I might be a victim to the circumstances and there's nothing I can do about it. But I'm not sitting here shaking in my boots like I'm not going to be able to do this thing or whatever, But I am, so it's not confidence, but I am, but what it does is it removes your security in the future, right? And that's more devastating, I think, than your confidence. Is your security, right? All of a sudden, you're on the bottom of the pyramid again. That what do they call it? The hierarchy of needs and whatnot. All of a sudden, if you're down at the bottom of the hierarchy of needs, that completely shifts you. Jay Schwinn Shaw says, but the DOM is a pretty good tool to help make money. I feel like they're missing a first comment or something like that. I think that the DOM is an essential tool if you're going to day trade. But I think for the most part, it just brings you up to par. Developing your edge purely from the DOM, probably too hard. I don't know if there's enough room left in the market to do that. You're going to be combining it with other information. Vitamin pills from China didn't last long. There will be many more layoffs in the next 4 years. You're really all in on there's a recession coming, aren't you? Oh, it wasn't you. It was APOL that was like really doomer about it. I still think that it's like reducing interest rates on its own doesn't mean that we're heading into a recession. We were hot. We were cooling the economy down. We have brought inflation back down to target. Now it's time to normalize interest rates. And that does not necessarily predict that the jobs market is already on a collision course with a recession. I think I would need to see other things before I would be like, oh yeah, now a recession is coming. Problem is that usually those things come really fast. Like it shifts. Because all of a sudden 1 month, it's like, oh, actually, we probably are going to have a recession, right? Before that, 1 week, everybody will say, there's no way it's going to. And then the next week, it's like, yeah, it's happening. And then all of a sudden, everybody knows it. And they always knew it, That's how that tends to go. Hero short at 24. It looks pretty flat here, though. Kind of went from like, this doesn't move as much as I thought it would based on what the news was, to like, this has gone a little bit further than I thought it would today. I guess I thought that the initial move off of news would, let's see here, we started at, where did we start at? 15? We started at 15, and the high was at 16, and we got to 20. So I think that I was kind of making those comments of like, it didn't go far enough when it was at 18. 20 to 22 was kind of okay. Is 24 really too far? I think that some of my bearings might be off a little bit in terms of like what is a big move and what is not. A 5 basis point move in yield is a relatively major move. Man, Ethan is still crying and freaking out. Good grief. Gotta go a little bit early. Well, thank you for being here, Paul. See you tomorrow. It's only Tuesday, guys. It's only Tuesday. Whole week. I'm kind of sometimes I will be like, oh man, like tomorrow will be the weekend, and then what? This is one of the few times where I don't really want the time to go by. I just want this to go as slowly as I want to fit as much as I can into this time as possible. Part of it is that really what I want to do is rant and complain. I'm really unhappy about what happened and how I was treated. But I don't feel like that telling you guys that right now helps anything. You got 2 ticks, so that's not bad. Big iceberg at 23 though. Oh, the indicators you've created from the DOM are a good chance to make money. Okay, so let me tell you about the indicators really quick, okay? So if you install the pack and you come over here, you'll have a new folder at the top called Speculator Sept, and then you have all of these things in here, okay? So some of these are tools that I feel are absolutely essential tools. Like, I really don't understand how people are trading without these things. The two that fit that the most are my spread and my synthetic dollar index indicators. So the spread tells me what the yield curve is doing. You need to know which instrument in the treasuries is, you know, moving further, essentially, to be able to judge what you're seeing on the DOM. And the dollar index, just everything that's over here, dollar index, everything is correlated to the dollar index. And so sometimes you might be like, well, why are we moving now? What's going on here? It's the dollar and the currencies that are moving. So having the dollar index is really, really crucial. Okay. Another indicator that I have is this inventory cost basis. It's these lines that you see on the chart. These kind of end up giving like key points. So I tell you what, the amount of times that it will like come up to one of those lines and bounce off of it is insane. It's very rare that they just ignore it. Today is one of those few situations where they ignored it, actually. But the way that I read it more is this is kind of the neutral area between the two market makers. This is the sellers in charge. This is the buyers in charge, right? So then over here, this is like, you know, sellers are really puking. Okay. And above this other line way up here. Okay. So this can be a really useful indicator, especially for these kinds of situations where it's like, well, I mean, it did kind of like come up to that line and come back a little bit, right? And you just want to get that little line. That tends to be a pretty good trade. Okay. It's a model basically to tell you what the average market maker positioning is. So that's the most sophisticated indicator that I have on here. Okay. So that one I find really useful and essential too. The other indicators that you have in there are really like, okay, here's some information, like with the wrestling orders. You constantly have orders stacking and pulling. So how do you like quantitatively make sense of that? And so what I've done is I've developed filters that kind of give you numbers that deal with those. Okay, so that you can kind of run more consistent metrics on things. Some of these are like the market order imbalance. This is probably the best indication of whether there's informed trading in the market or not. If you see a persistent imbalance in the market order imbalance, which is to say a value above 0.5, which is what you're seeing right now, right? There's the indicator on this chart. You can see it's since the news, it's been consistently above 0.5 and as high as 0.6. That means they're buying. You don't want to sell. And that's a kind of flow that tends to be persistent and you can make money off of. So you want to trade those, right? But the purpose of those indicators, like I can tell it's buying. I'll look at the DOM, I'm going to see it's mostly market orders, right? So that indicator is really there so that you can program things with it. Those are really there so that you can program things with it. So I can't say that I have some amazing strategy that we've built with those indicators that you can use and trade it. And no. It's giving you a way of looking at the data that you can't get any other way, and that we find useful and we have reason to believe is useful. But also, those other indicators might not be as useful to you unless you're a programmer. Okay. I think that the other things that are included are worth it for the $100. And honestly, because most other people in the NinjaTrader world that are selling indicator suites are asking way more for it. So I really think I'm giving you a good deal. And it's a lifetime license. So when we add new stuff, you can even ask me to make stuff and I probably will make it. So that's my indicator suite. And I'll end. You know, I want to run with this because I probably don't promote my indicator suite enough, right? If you come to the website, there's two things. First thing is there's the free downloads page. Okay. So you come to the free downloads page. So here's the Elite Indicator Suite. You just download and install it and it will work for 2 weeks. That's all you got to do. Okay. But there's also this documentation link, right? So you come in here and there's a detailed explanation of what the indicator is doing and what all of the settings do for every one of those indicators. I also have one for the free indicator suite, by the way. Tell you what these do. Okay. So if you have more questions, you will go and read that first and then send me an email and I can answer any of those questions. Because that's the other thing that you're getting with me is I have the time and everything to be able to respond to everybody. Might not, had a day job, so I was kind of doing that stuff after the day job or during lunch, and now I have a little bit more free time, so I should be able to get back to you pretty quickly. If you have questions, you send it to my email. Coming in on last 5 minutes of the stream. I am still going to end the stream at the same time that I normally do, and then I'm going to go and I got a couple of I've got my work set out for me. I've made my own schedule. I tell you what, so like my wife, she has a friend, then her friend's husband has been unemployed for a long time. Even during like the boom part of the, and they say like, oh, all he does is just play video games all day and he's not motivated to do anything. And I'm like, I can't imagine. Like, I've got so much my own work to do. Like, I really, really hate the losing the security of having the income, right? That really shifts your mindset, and there's all sorts of problems involved with it. It's a big problem. So I've got to get out of that situation as soon as possible. But I get some time to do some stuff that I've wanted to do for such a long time, and I feel so bad that I haven't been able to put more into the YouTube channel. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get lucky. You guys all know, so when you see me post a video, you'll be immediately be like, oh, gotta go and watch Sept's video, help him out. You guys are the greatest audience, so I know that you'll do that. Maybe cool things will happen. I feel like we get like 2 weeks to do some good work, and I'm going to take advantage of it. So, anyways, while I'm at it, if you haven't checked out in the video description, I got stuff for that. Like the link to my website should be in the video description. If you end up buying the DOM software that I use, Jigsaw, I have an affiliate link for that. If you end up buying the new squawk that I use, Financial Juice, that's over here. There's the link for that. If you want a mug that says traders are going to trade, because that's what they do, then there's a link for that. All of the things in the video description that I never remember to promote, but you know what? And I wouldn't have remembered if it wasn't for Jay Schwinn. So, oh, you brought Jigsaw? Oh, well, that's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, you know, I really love Jigsaw. Like it has its ups and downs. They released a beta, and the beta's not quite ready for the beta's not quite ready to use. And, you know, there's some features that I've wanted to add that they haven't added yet. But the base functionality of Jigsaw is just so good. I just don't think that any other... Like, I've tried Sierra charts, and I just couldn't do it, man. It was just not... It wasn't as good. It wasn't as slick. It's this thing is just, like, almost already set up for you. The only thing that you really got to do when you're using Jigsaw, you, like, come in here. You go into the settings. Go into trading and close outstanding orders when a position is closed. For most retail scalpers, you probably want that on. And then that's it. You're good to go. The beta locked up on me this morning on startup. Ooh. So did you, uninstall the old version and install the beta on top of it? Because I was kind of wondering, well, can I install the beta to a different folder? Will that work? I don't know if that would work. I think that there's a couple of things that are too built into like your documents and settings folders and stuff that it might have some issues. So I didn't try it. Because I do want to like beta test it for them, but you know, like I did the beta test, I ran into too many issues and switched back. We'll see. I think it will be a little bit before its full version is released. Probably a month, if not several months. Because it looks to me like they made a pretty significant overhaul of some base things. But that is a good thing. That means that they're getting closer to getting like their overall program structure and everything to the way that they want. That means that they should be in a better position to add a couple of new features for us. Would help if I open up the lid of the water bottle. I was thinking of connecting Rhythmic through Bolonex. Bolonex has some ridiculous... I've never heard of that before. What is that? Is that some cryptocurrency thing? Oh, I'm not super into... Oh, it's a funded trader program. Even worse. Well... Oh, they're incorporated in Delaware. Surprise, surprise. That was so funny. I already complained too much about funded trader programs today. You can go back and you can rewind and go and watch that if you want to hear me complain about how funded trader programs are bucket shops and regulators should do something. Okay, well, with that, by the way, thanks you for stopping by on the stream, and Jay. It was nice to talk to you. Yeah, try you download them for free, and then if you don't like them, you don't install them. That's also part of, because one of the things that I hate is like you buy something and then it's not what you think, and then you have a hard time, like, you're stuck with it. I want to make sure that you understand what they do and you can see that they're useful to you before you buy them. So that's why there's a trial period. All right, guys. I'm going to get going. I got some things to do. I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellenting.